University, Dr. John Giannini, Tyreek, Duren, and Jerrell Wright. Hopefully stick by coach.
Well, we lost to a very good team. Their defense had a lot to do with our frustrations. Their size and rebounding had a lot to do with our frustrations. But I don't think we played particularly well. We had a few situations there where we had some free throws, I think, to cut it to 4-3. I can't remember the exact number, but we had some free throws late to really cut it down. I think we had a wide open 3 to really cut it down late. We just couldn't get over the hump. We're second in the league in free throw percentage, and for some reason we've been missing some ones that could really help us in the last couple of games. So this wasn't our best game. When Tyreek Duren doesn't get an assist, when Sam Mills and Ramon Galloway have a hard time, have one field goal apiece, you're not playing your best. Now Butler has a ton to do with that, but I felt there were times we could give ourselves a chance, and we had good shots at those moments. Maybe not the whole game, but at some key times we had some opportunities and they just didn't go for us.
All right, questions for the players. Please address directly the player. Aaron.
Tyreek, I know how much you guys love each other and how important is this to you. What did you say to each other, and was anything said specifically by you to Ramon?
I told him to keep his head up. I told him that that our season's not over. We got more games to play, and it's not going to be the last basketball game of your life. You got plenty of more games to play. Don't let that affect the next couple of games.
Considering how important this game was, you guys have talked about the NCAA tournament and hoping to get a win. Was it extra disappointing that it wasn't your best game, as John said?
I think any game that you lose is disappointing. Like, of course, we wanted to win this game and advance in the tournament. We got to move forward. Like I said, it's not our last game, so we got to put this behind us.
At times, it's an intense defensive game. But do you think exhaustion on either team played into some of the play during some times?
I mean, it might have, but I think like the biggest thing with us was we weren't rebounding. I mean, they almost out-rebounded about 20 rebounds. I think anytime you get out-rebounded that bad, you're not really going to win a game.
Mark.
Jerrell, how tough was it with Smith and those big guys in there? They were trying to lob it over. How difficult was that defending them down low with the size that they had?
I don't think it was that tough because we've been going over it during practice. So during the game, I was expecting it. I was expecting getting back screen, them lobbing the ball. So I was aware of every play that he's doing.
Other questions for the players?
You said that, Tyreek, you said that you guys have more games to play, and you certainly do, but are you a little nervous now about Selection Sunday?
I don't want to say we're nervous. Like, I think depending on how other teams do will determine our fate in the NCAA tournament. I mean, like I said, either way, we look forward to playing again. Like, this isn't our last game.
Anybody else? All right, guys, thank you. All right. Questions for Coach?
Coach, do you want to make the case for your team's inclusion in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think I have to. I don't even think I should. I mean, our record speaks for ourselves. Our standing, finishing third in a great league, speaks for itself. I think we have some high-level wins, like VCU and Butler and Villanova, that speaks for themselves. But there's a lot of good teams out there. So, I mean, I have no idea how we compare to some of these other teams. But I think we've been in the discussion. The crazy thing is if you talk to the people who study this, we've been in pretty much all year, and it would be pretty sad for us to lose it here in the last 2-3 days. Again, people you respect have had us in for a long time, so we must have some substance on our resume. And you know, there's no question. If we win today, we're in. And now, frankly, we might be at the mercy of others a little bit. And the crazy thing is, a lot of the people that we're fighting for those last spots with, they have awfully tough games too.
Hey, John, can you just talk about Brad Stevens as a coach? What makes him so good? What is it like coaching against him?
Well, I think it always, as good a coach as he is, it always comes back to players. And a coach at our level selects their players. And I think he has a certain kind of guy in mind. And they turn out to be super tough, extremely skilled, very smart. Of course, he's built a culture over there. So I think I don't go back to late game adjustments or sets they run or game planning. That's all fine. But if you don't have the players and the culture and guys who fit what you want to do, it's all for naught. So I I credit him with building a program. You know, that's what he's done. He's built a program. More than win games, he's built a program.
Yeah, Ramona obviously didn't have the greatest offensive game. He was chasing Clark around the whole game. Did that factor in the other side of it?
You know,
Was that a gamble you made too?
I was a little bit disappointed with the week that we had. We had some guys banged up, and we tried to go hard Monday, and it was clear that whether it's physically or mentally, we weren't getting a great practice and a great physical effort. You know, and I think keeping guys fresh and healthy is important. So we did a lot of skill work, but I do think that we got fatigued today. You know, in hindsight, we probably didn't do enough this week, but in our defense, when you have guys with lower back things and forearm issues and calf issues, it's hard to try to squeeze blood out of a rock in March in practice, and that's what we felt like we were doing. But you know, I felt like the fatigue was a big factor, which is crazy because they played yesterday. You know, but I think we were real tired, and I don't know what I would have done differently, but we didn't look like we had the ability to really push them physically this week, and I think it really hurt us today.
John, when you have one of your best players like Galloway, is the kind of follow up on Sam's question, when he has a game like he's having, you know, 1 for 10, it seems like he's struggling in every shot. What's going through your mind, and do you have to walk a fine line at all about how much rope you give him?
No. You know, and we've come this far. When you come that far with the first team all-conference guy, you're not changing at the last second. At least I wouldn't. And I think continuing to have confidence in guys is important, not only in this game, but moving forward. And at any moment, he could make 4 or 5 in a row. You know, in fact, when a good player's struggling, I expect them to start making shots at any moment.
But John, did you feel Ramona was pressing at all, and did you feel he was just taking the side and maybe calm him down a little?
Yes, on both. Yeah, I think he tried awfully hard. I think he really wanted to win. I think he wanted to be aggressive. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't fault his effort in this game at all. I think he played really hard, and if anything, he might have tried too hard.
Aaron, Coach, when guys struggle from time to time, you talked about this before, shots might not go in, but in a big game, when it happens to a guy that means so much to you and your program, do you hurt for him even more? And did you have to say something that
Well,
extra?
there's no time to hurt for anyone during the game.
I mean,
during the
afterward,
game, during the game, you're trying to win, and you gotta be tough, and it's not the time. Game time's not the time to be sensitive. You know, you gotta be smart. After the game, of course, you feel awful. Yeah, and he feels awful. Yeah, of course you feel awful after the game. You know, these kids have a schedule that most people can't imagine. I mean, they're up early, and they're lifting, and they're in the training room, and they're in study hall, and they're in class, and they're in practice, and they're in video rooms, and you know, they work awfully hard for all of us. And when you have good kids and good players like us, you really come to appreciate them. And of course, you're going to feel bad when they come up short.
John, you mentioned about also the resume, that you really don't feel like you know, have anything to apologize for what you've done and everything. Do you think, though, that you are hurt, or you could be hurt in the eyes of the committee by the fact that LaSalle hasn't been on the NCAA radar in a little bit?
No, I think that their job is to pick who they think the best teams are. And we were on the NCAA. We did win 20 games last year, and we have been on in their discussions throughout the year. In their mock exercise, we were in. So I don't think they're going to be surprised by considering LaSalle based on last year and this year at all.
Following that up, John, what will you do in the next couple of days? Will you be like us, and you're going to watch various league games?
You know, it's interesting. One of the schools in our situation is Boise State, and I think he said when he was in this situation once before, he watched every score and he made himself nuts, and he's not going to do it, okay? For the record, I'm going to make myself nuts.
All right, anybody else?
You'll happily make yourself nuts?
No, you'll live and die with every play in these other games, and you know who needs to win, you know who needs to lose, and you know, hopefully we get a break and we end up being judged on 30 games as opposed to our last two, who, by the way, are losses to potential Final Four teams.
If you are able to get in the tournament, given everything that this whole season has been like across the country, do you just feel like, you know, everyone started from slate, that, you know, you just...
I'll tell you, I'll talk about another A-10 team here, and it's really eye-opening for us. 2 years ago, we had an underachieving team that finished 15 and 18, not a horrible team, but we were pretty talented. And our preseason scrimmage that year was against VCU, and it was a 50-minute, dead even, down to the point, down to the last second, even scrimmage. If someone told me after that scrimmage that one of these teams are going to the Final Four, I would have been pretty excited, you know, because it was that even. So I think if you, I think there's a ton of good teams out there. I mean, the team we lost to today beat 2 #1 teams, and there's no question anyone can beat anyone. And the reason why has nothing to do with players leaving early for the draft or anything like that. The reason why is schools that are extremely committed. I mean, at LaSalle, we're taking basketball very seriously. And when you take basketball seriously, you know, you build a program, and there's just a lot of good teams. There's a lot of schools that are very committed, that want to be in that NCAA tournament, and they invest a lot into it, and we're one of them. And there's a lot of good teams. I mean, there's more good teams than ever. When people talk about college basketball being down, that's, you know, maybe it's not the Jordans and Ewings out there, but there's more good teams than ever.
All right, 2 more questions, Matt.
John, first of all, up to the minute breaking news, Joe Lunardi has you as the last team in right now, so you might want to know. But speaking on behalf
I hope that's not a Philly favor, by the way.
Good point. Can you speak on the power of the A10 and kind of trickling off of Rick Brendan asked Brad, the different kinds of teams and styles, and how that will benefit you if you do get in, no matter who you get. You know, if you're in and you get...
I think we're really hard to play against. I think we're really, I mean, smaller, but I think we're hard to play against. And one of the things about league play is people are used to. You know, I mean, obviously, we had more success against Butler the first time around. They missed a key player the first time. We missed a key player the second time. But, you know, when people are familiar with you, and you have a different type of style of play, when you are smaller and quicker, that is very different. And I think when people play us for the first time, it's hard for them.
Anybody else? All right. Thanks, Coach.
Sir.